Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Pink Turns Purple. It is her, she, me, your girl, Miss Jennifer Pink, and I am so excited that you decided to come back and hear another amazing Thriver story. Today, I am joined by Miss TeeJ Mercer, who I am totally in love with for a million and two reasons, and you guys are going to get a little taste of that. But before we get into it, I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping. I want to remind you that you can share this email directly with your friends. Just hit share with friend. I believe it's like right above our head somewhere. And of course, if down below us, you see where it says register. If you haven't registered, encourage your friends to register so that they can get all of the conversations, so that they can hear all of the amazing stories of thriving that are possible after domestic violence, because that's what it's all about. And of course, if you'd like to help us put our money where our mouths are and support those in the African American community who are affected by domestic violence, we are supporting two amazing nonprofits who are specifically working with the African American community, and they're trying to build homes. It's not really a shelter, it's more like transitional housing, so to speak. So if you'd like to help us in that mission, we would love for you to buy a t-shirt book bundle, or just donate some funds directly, whatever works for you. But that's enough housekeeping. Let's get right to it. And let me introduce you to the amazing TeeJ. Everybody say hi, TeeJ.
Hey!
Don't you love that personality right there? Like, you guys are about to see it. So let me let you know who she is. TeeJ Mercer is the Chief Noisemaker of Media Mavericks Academy. As the Chief Noisemaker of the Media Mavericks Academy, TeeJ uses her insider expertise as a 20-plus year Hollywood veteran to coach her Mavericks how to unapologetically rock their own genius on the networks like ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CW, and on shows like The Steve Harvey Show, The Doctors, and Dr. Oz. TeeJ's Mavericks have also displayed their authority in the Huffington Post, Psychology Today, Investors Digest, The Breakfast Club, and too many radio shows and podcasts to count. A four-time author, TeeJ is nicknamed the walking exclamation point and the beast in the media streets, as she has spent over 2 decades influencing the lives of millions through her storytelling for television. As an award-winning TV editor, her resume is peppered with notable names such as VH1, MTV, OWN, Bravo, DreamWorks Studios, The Walt Disney Company, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Access Hollywood, The Bachelor, Swamp People, Clean House, My Cat from Hell, LA Hair, and Bar Rescue, just to name a few. Like, if that's a few, oh my gosh, this resume has got to be out of this world. Publicity and DVD features for gigantic box office hits such as Shrek, Chronicles of Narnia, The Incredibles, Cars, Princess Diaries, Cinderella are also in her arsenal, plus much more. Y'all, TeeJ is just amazing. TeeJ is amazing. Today, with a mission to make God smile and be somebody's answered prayer, TeeJ wakes up every day committed to love on God's kids by living up to her moniker as the world's greatest hugger. And she is, you guys. She is. So, TeeJ, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence and getting ready to share your story. I don't even want to take up too much more time. Just tell them your domestic violence story.
Well, listening to my creds, my street creds, my resume, it's a resume I don't back down from. I'm very proud of what God has enabled me to do over, 2 decades. But a lot of times people are shocked to hear that at the height of some of that, I was holding it down in Hollywood while at the same time being held down in my own home, and no one knew. Like, in this room alone that I'm in right now, I almost lost my life. And the verbal abuse started first, as typically it always does. It starts with the verbal and then it escalates. So it wasn't until we lost our daughter that it switched over and escalated to the physical. And so for me, it was very strange. And I like to say for women who are listening, when you are a high earner, it's like, this is just the furthest thing from your mind that is happening to you. And so it all came to a head one day where he was choking me. And I knew that this was it, because previous times I could still see he was there and that he would stop. But this time there was something in his eyes that I could see, oh, this dude has completely checked out and I'm getting ready to die. And all I thought was my mother's face. You know, I've forgotten about the times that he pulled me off the toilet and with pee still, you know, streaming down my legs, or dragging me through the house by my hair, or slamming me down in the car, in the driveway, and pulling my actual dreadlocks from my scalp. Like, I totally forgotten all of that, because when you are a high earner and you can take care of yourself, and people want to know, why did you stay? You do something that I have coined, you successify your way into denial. That this cannot be happening to me. I'm too educated, I'm too successful, so it's not registering that this is happening to you. And so when he's choking me, I see my mom's face. And I just began to pray, like, Lord, if you let me get out of this one last time, if you spare my life one last time, I'm out of here. And just like that, and the interesting, Jennifer, though, is, you notice my prayer didn't have nothing to do with me. You know, my prayer really was, don't let my mother find out her child died this way. Don't, because she will never forgive herself. She will never, you know, she would think, I should have seen the signs. I should have, you know, I talked to my baby every day. And so my mother, I knew, would live with this immense guilt. So my prayer wasn't even for me. That's what happens. Like, you don't even think about yourself. My prayer was for my mother. That's why I wanted my life spared, because I had just kind of gotten comfortable in the dysfunction that it wasn't even dysfunctional anymore. And that's what also happens, that you're in the dysfunction, you've learned to cope in the dysfunction to the point you don't even recognize it's dysfunction until you get out of the dysfunction. So shortly after I whispered that prayer, he let me go. And for the next 2 weeks, as I plotted my escape, I would stay at work late till he went to sleep. And then I would get up, I would pretend I was asleep when he would get up in the morning, and so I could plan my escape. And so on November 9th of 2009, I left the home that I purchased for myself for my 25th birthday, and I did not look back. And what was interesting about it is I was taking care of the house, because here's the thing, Jennifer. I didn't need him. And so a lot of times I do interviews so that people who are connected to those who are victims can understand what's happening in the mind. And for me, it was, I'm successful in Hollywood. There's no way I'm going to fail in my marriage. I am not going to quit. I am not a quitter. I am an overachiever. So I'm going to figure out what I'm doing that's making my husband, who is supposed to love me, so upset that he's putting his hands on me. And so a lot of times, that's why I can speak for the people who are like me, who didn't need the financial security. I was the one taking care of the house. I was the one that was paying the bills. So even when I left, I was paying the mortgage on my house and the rent on my apartment. And so I did that for about 2 years. And in that 2 years, he and I talked, and I was willing to reconcile, but my breaking point, my non-negotiable, is you have to get counseling. Because I finally grasped, this ain't me. You got problems here too. And so I ended up insisting on that. And he supposedly pretended he was getting counseling. And he did go somewhere, because whatever the support group he was in, they were reading this book called The Verbally Abusive Man, Can He Change? And he asked me if I would read the book with him. So trying to be supportive, trying to save my marriage, I read the book with him, and the book changed me. So much so that I hunted down the author, somehow managed to get her on the phone. And she spent 30 minutes chatting with me. At the end of that 30 minutes, I hung up, I called my attorney, and I said, I'm ready to proceed with the divorce. Because she helped me see that there was a very slim chance that he was going to change. So much so, the writing was on the wall, because we were supposed to be reading the book together and, communicating. And every time I read something in the book that resonated with me about him, he would turn it and still flip out on me. So it was like, the book ain't working. This ain't working for you. And so when I talked to Miss Patricia, it was that aha, heavens parted, oh, you're done. And it was like, I had the best feeling of quitting. Like, I quit. I'm done. It was like I needed someone to tell me it was okay to quit. And it really wasn't quitting. It was me starting to begin to find myself. And after that, people started noticing. My friends would come around, because no one knew I was living like this until after I left and started talking about it. No one knew. No one knew. Because I was trying to figure it out for myself. And so I'd go around these people, and they were like, T, you're glowing. What's going on with you? And then when I would tell them, I realized I was getting my light back. He had almost extinguished my light completely. And so I spent the next 2 or 3 years just kind of healing and trying to figure out, how did I get there? What happened? Because then you go through the phase of, you have to forgive yourself. Because once you get out of the dysfunction, like I said earlier, once you get out of the dysfunction, you start seeing some things. And then it's like, what the hell was wrong with you? It's like, how could you let yourself be treated like that? And you're now standing outside of the situation, providing commentary on the situation. And it's just like, I completely lost myself. And so it was then that was that shame of, how did you let your self-esteem, or you get so low that you don't even realize that you're that low? And so a few years afterwards, I ended up writing my 3rd book, called The 6-Figure Battered Wife, My Path to Resilience. And that woman who helped me realize I could quit, she wrote the foreword. And she wrote the foreword. And even that was a journey where I have it right here. It was a journey of really getting to the bottom of, how did I end up here? What did I do wrong? What do I need to learn? And so the first part of the book, it may be keyed out a little just because of the blue, but the first part of the book, I spend time breaking down the escalations. So if you're listening to this and you're trying to understand why your sister, your cousin, your daughter, your best friend is still in this, read the first part of this, because I walk you through the escalations of how someone like me could end up here. But I don't leave you there, because at some point you get to the middle of the book and it says time to flip your story. So you literally have to close the book and flip it. And then you get to the 10 steps to resilience. And that's where I have 9 other women telling their story from the aspect of taking each letter of my favorite word, resilience. And then that is the part that then helps you help your loved one understand what has happened to them and what they can do next. So when people ask me, do I regret it? Nah, I love who I am. I'm awesome. So I love who I have become. I love that I have, expanded and I help people with my story. I do things like this with Miss Jennifer so that more women can find solace in knowing that they're not alone. They're not stupid. It's not them, and that there is a process of going from victim to survivor, but then I don't leave people there. I am determined to help people go from survivor to thriver. So that's my DV story, and I love who I am. I don't regret this. I love who I am now.
I mean, we love who you are, or at least I do. I don't know about everybody else, but I love that, and I love the fact that you not only connected with the author of the original book, but that she was able to come back and kind of see your journey and your story and how it is completely transformed. And you talked about, during the process, you kind of start looking at yourself like, what? Wait a minute. How did I accept that? Like, what was going on? And I think a lot of times that's where a lot of us get stuck. We get stuck in that moment. Like, wait, this couldn't have been me. Like, I didn't do, it was all him and all these other things. So how for you, especially someone who, like you said, you're an overachiever, you're a high earner, you're well educated. How did you, in your mind, begin to work through that?
I accepted that it was a systemic process, that it wasn't overnight that he just started hitting me. Abusers are very clever. They're narcissists. They're very clever. And I was married to this man. So of course, I'm thinking I chose a man who wanted the best for me. So all of this, what I'm thinking is constructive criticism, is supposed to help me be a better woman, not to then systemically grow, to these escalations. And that's why it's important that the one goal I have from the book is I needed to explain the escalations, because it does not just happen overnight. It is a process. They are very smooth. And when you're a person like me who just loves openly, I don't have any hidden agendas, I'm a match for a narcissist. So I didn't even see the move going down. And that's part of the process, that you don't even see the move going down while it's going down, and don't even realize it's happening until you out of it, and then you can see it. So I really just decided, the first thing I really did was I decided I was going to hold on to God's definition of me versus my husband's description of me. That was a game changer. I went back, because I'm a woman of faith, I rock my faith on my sleeve. I went back to how God defines us in his word. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. That is how he defines me, putting on me. So let me paint that in a more practical example. A chair. A chair, by definition, is something you sit your butt on. A chair. That is its definition. It is there to serve for you to sit in. But you have all types of chairs that you describe it. Oh, that's a red chair. That's a blue chair. That's a warped chair. That's a three-legged chair. It does not change. It is a chair. And its function is to, you still go, regardless if it's a green chair or a blue chair, it is designed for you to sit in. That is what that's a very stripped down example of what I had to do. God has defined me as fearfully, wonderfully made. So when my husband is describing me as a crazy woman, that's not true. That's just his description of me. When he's defining me as a B, that's just his description of me. His description don't count when I set it aside of what God defined me as. So it really boiled down to that. That was my jumping off point for sure.
I love it. I love it. So you have to share, I've heard it, but you have to share with everybody what resilience stands for you.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I don't remember off the top of my head. So fortunately, I got the book here. So the R, the R is, hold on, because I totally forgotten about. Okay, so R, reconnect. R means you have to reconnect to the old you, the you that happened before the abuse. E, embrace. And what is embrace? Hold on. Embrace God's definition of you. So I just covered that. S, survive the moment. Some, I call it, they are in their full blown. Did we freeze? Jennifer, can you hear me? Okay, good.
It unfroze.
Okay, so surviving the moment when they're in their total meltdown and they are going off. Surviving the moment is just keep your mouth shut so you can survive that moment. I imagine what life is like on the other side. So that's what I started doing. I used to tell myself, one day it's gonna come where I'm not even thinking about him anymore. He's not even a thought in my psyche. He is not even a consideration on my lowest day. So I used to just remind myself, imagine what that feels like when I get to that side. L, what's the L? Lose the facade. People, yes, this has happened to me. I know y'all think I'm this super successful, got it all together, would never let a man do this, but that ain't the case. So it was then when I lost the facade, then I could really help people. Insist on going after battle. I finally had to fight for my house back. I'm like, I'm in the house. I want it back. There was no getting around the alimony, but I wasn't going to let him take me to the cleaners. So I insisted on going after what was legally mine. E, examine your past. What happened that got you there? Like, really examine what happened, that be really honest and transparent about it. N, nurture your heart. This is the time for you to actually be gentle on yourself. Forgive yourself. C, close your circle. When you're going through this, you want people to, do drive-bys on him. But there's going to come a day I only did better. So I knew I wanted God to actually work on my heart in such a way that to survivor, from survivor to thriver.
Exactly. I love it. In case any of those went out, because I know I could, it was like pausing and freezing a little bit. So in case any of those went out, it is in the email, so you guys can read it. I will make sure it's in there so you can read exactly what they all are.
Good.
So now that you have gone through it and you're on the other side and you're TeeJ the Amazing, as I like to say, how important do you think it is for you to have truly healed and closed the door and dealt with it and let it go, and that's just another piece of my story?
So wait, say the top of the question, because I always like to make sure I answer the question. Say the top of the question again.
I'm saying, how important do you think actually really healing from it is to you being able to be the amazing TeeJ you are now?
Gotcha. It's incredibly important, because I didn't want, I do desire another relationship. I did not want that bad experience to taint to color to affect somebody else. It's not fair to them. He didn't do it to me. And I knew I could hold. I knew it to be a representation of God's grace. I knew I wanted to be a representation of what resilience can really look like in human form. And so I knew I must do the work. And I also knew who I was before the abuse. Whatever I needed to give back, plus time. Jennifer. I don't know where we froze. So where did we freeze? What I was saying was, I knew I was committed to coming out of this better, not bitter. And I knew I loved who I was before the abuse. I was always been a loud, boisterous, out there, over the top, extra person. I knew I wanted her back. I wanted to be that person again. And now I am. I'm her plus 10 times 100 minus 1,000, but added to infinity and beyond.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You really are. You are that woman plus so much more, so much more. But before we totally finish out, I want to give you the opportunity to share anything that is possibly on your heart to the man or woman who's watching, who is a survivor, and they're kind of they're stuck in that survival space. And they're like, I want to go on the other side, but I don't know. They're just kind of stuck for whatever their reasons are, whatever's on your heart for them right now in this moment to help them.
Well, the first thing is I want you to be aware and come out of denial. And the way I do that is I'm going to ask you 5 questions, okay, to get you out of denial. Because here's the thing. Once you get out of denial and you wake up and get out of this dysfunction, that's when life really can start. That's where the healing really starts. If you recognizing and owning this is happening to me, because that was the biggest challenge for me of reading the criteria. Like, I think I went to the domestic violence website or something, and I read the criteria, and like one by one, it was like, that's happening to me. That's happening to me. That's happening to me. Oh crap, I've become a statistic. But then it was at that oh crap moment, it could be also, oh crap, I've become a statistic. I am going to figure this out, and I'm gonna get myself up out of here. So the first question, I always phrase it around how to tell if you're sleeping next to crazy. Okay, crazy is an acronym. C, is he crafty with making the irrational seem rational? So my ex-husband would hit me with his left fist. Catch what I'm saying? He would hit me with his left fist and then tell me, well, T, at least I didn't hit you with my right fist. That would have been worse. Now, on the surface, that makes sense. He's right-handed. If he hits me with his right, it's going to do a lot more damage. But then you have to get to, dude, you shouldn't be hitting me in the first place. How about that? Why are we discussing the level of you hitting me? So is he crafty? It's irrational that he's hitting me, but somehow the way he spun it, it makes you pause for a minute and go, okay, so there's some validity in that. So R, does he refuse to accept responsibility for his actions? Everything you do everything he does is your fault. If you didn't say it that way, if you were a better wife, if you were a better woman, if you were a better girlfriend, if you knew how to talk to me, if you would just, make sure that you had my supper ready by the time I got home, everything is your fault as to why he blows up. A, does he assume sole responsibility for all the decisions? Jennifer, I came home one day. I have a pool in my backyard. I used to have all these beautiful palm trees. So, because I live in Los Angeles, beautiful palm trees. You can even see in my backyard because of the palm trees. I came home, was coming down the street, and I'm getting closer to my house, and there are cranes lifting my beautiful palm trees out of my backyard. The first time I heard about it was when I saw it. He didn't discuss this with me. He didn't even say, babe, when you leave today, I'm going to, do some work on the backyard. I just left and came home, and now my backyard has no green life whatsoever. So he assumes sole responsibility for all the decisions. Z, does he zero in on your flaws, your mistakes? Everything you do, it is, a travesty. However, he can do something major. And it's like, oh, why are you beating up on me about that? Why are you still talking about that? But you can just maybe leave a plate out on the kitchen sink, and all of a sudden you're the worst wife ever. Like he used to zero in the mistakes that I made before I even met him. When I was a teenager, it would come up in argument. So they zero in on stuff that don't even have nothing to do with them. And then Y, the final letter is, does he yank at the mental, physical, and spiritual stability of your mind? I like to describe it like being on a hardwood floor on a rug. And as kids, we used to do this as kids, you slide around on the floor and you really, you can't get your bearing. That's what living with an abuser is like. Soon as you think you got it figured out, he changes the goal. He changes the benchmark. And so you're constantly in pursuit of trying to make him happy, not realizing he keeps changing the criteria. So you never can get comfortable. So even when I was out with him to the world, I was the best wife ever. Like, he was so charismatic. People thought he loved my dirty drawers. I could never get comfortable in the compliments of, him complimenting me in front of people, because I know the minute we left that party, I'm going to sit down in the car and all hell going to break loose because I didn't introduce him correctly, or I introduced him too late and I didn't own up that this is my husband. Anything. So you never can get comfortable because he's always yanking at the mental, physical, and spiritual stability of your mind. So that, for me, is the criteria I always like to give people to either ask for themselves or help a loved one ask themselves of it. You still muted. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Just moving a little slow on technology. But thank you so much. You guys got to embrace a little bit of the amazingness of TeeJ. Whether it's on social media, whether it's she's speaking at an event, like, she is this all the time. She is full of amazing nuggets, amazing acronyms, and she's always just amazing, honestly. So I just thank you, first and foremost, for joining Pink Turns Purple and sharing your story, and for really encouraging someone to take the next step and to go beyond a place of survival and really thrive and really experience their life. And she used one of my favorite lines, "Don't be bitter, be better." Yes. So thank you so much for
It's my honor. Thanks for letting me come play.
I appreciate it more than anything. Thank you so much. But for those of you watching, don't go too far, because as you know, one more Thriver, that's me, is going to be hitting your inbox very, very soon. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye.